ready to throw axes.
That's good. Okay. Previously, the group of you have returned to Elderthorn. Flush with coin, you sought out Kelpip. What better way to spend your... well, not really ill-gotten. You looted them from a dragon horde. Your gotten gains, than equipping yourselves a little bit more effectively with magical items from your friendly merchant. During your visits to the various locations within Elderthorn, Siegfried was informed that once the group of you has taken what you feel is the appropriate amount of downtime, to speak with Captain Brath Stormsurge concerning something which was left hanging. You all ran your errands, visited family, spent some time conversing with Dunnan and his reticence at continuing after failing to defeat Grottle over the last 10 days. You also spoke with Grottle through the means of sending by that of Teng, who is essentially extorting the group of you for access to their henges that they, along with the Death Deniers, have activated. You met with Captain Stormsurge, who requested the group of you take a more clandestine role in the far-off Taltha of Akkad on the distant western side of the continent, trusting that between potentially the henges or your allies, you might be able to get there a little bit more expeditiously than is standard, which takes almost 2 months of travel time, and that's fast, to get from Akkad to the eastern side of this Cloudspine Mountains. Your presence in this region was requested because it seems to be that the previous, current, you're not quite sure of the standing, ruler of Akkad is in dire straits, so to speak. He's aging and not in the best of health. The representative that had met at Armskirk during the traditional shield meet of all of the Taltha asked for a little bit of overview, worrying that the abdication or potential death of their monarch, King Aldrich Valor, would create a power vacuum in Akkad and a growing faction of incredibly undesirable zealotry has started to take root within the city and is poised to take advantage of such a power vacuum. Outside aid cannot be seen as coming from another Taltha, lest it erupt into a proper war. But it is probably sorely needed as well. This is where you stand. You've picked up some potential contacts from your friends in Elderthorn. One such is Lieutenant Lori Kinney's cousin. That would be, Helnify, a gnomish woman who works for the ODMC in Akkad. The second name that has come up to you is an individual known as Finian Finch, a friend and former compatriot of Kelpip himself, who a lot of you were taken aback when Kelpip mentioned he was one of the few people he would trust with his life and his store. We're picking up as you've received this assignment, if you're choosing to accept it, from Captain Brath Stormsurge and have departed Blackburn Keep. About midday, the rest of the day is yours. What would you like to do?
I think we're done
in Elderthorn, so if everyone's ready, we can make our way to Urcrypt.
I'm good with that plan because we've gotten everybody armor and/or we have hidden the insignias of the Blackthorn Watch, right?
Yeah. I put away my breastplate. I left my breastplate with the
With the amber braids.
the amber braids. Yeah, I was trying to remember their name.
Correct.
Yeah. So yeah, and we have to go to Urcrypt so we can pay for the gate passage. So we're gonna have to spend at least one night in Urcrypt.
Mm-hmm.
But at least now we can get there directly with Dunnan's helmet.
Mm-hmm.
You can get to Urcrypt directly, yes.
Yeah, with Dunnan's helmet, so we don't have to risk getting exhaustion.
You also do not know if any of the henges lead to Akkad.
Yeah. We just have a rumor that what's her face, Grotto's gate goes there.
You have a suspicion, yes.
Yeah.
And Captain Stormsurge also implied Kelpip might be able to assist in some way.
Okay, so maybe we should go talk to Kelpip then, just in case we miss something.
Yeah, sounds good.
Yeah.
Spencer,
Mm-hmm.
for my personal note taking, did the amber braids take the Medusa weapons or no?
The large bow and
Hemitar.
Roll me a d20.
Because if they did not, I'm thinking about perhaps using it.
Whatever you want.
Oh shit. All right, cool. So I'll hold on to them.
Okay.
Offer them for something in Akkad.
Sounds good. Yep. Of note, also, your bag of holding is essentially full at this point. It is at 491 pounds, with all of the present stuff in it, accounting for the change in weights of dragon scales and hide and whatnot. It is well stacked, and has been refilled with ale.
One of our goals in Akkad too is to see if we can get this dragon stuff processed as well, right, Sam?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, which I could take the dragon stuff and put it into my own bag of holding.
Yeah, why don't we can figure out later. I think it's fine for now. That we have to. That we're good. Well, yeah, let's go talk to Kelpip then.
He should be happy to see us a second time.
We gave him so much money. He's like the wealthiest person in town right now.
I added a second handout for Aeolus's bag of holding as well.
Okay.
So you guys can transfer stuff into that as necessary. Just make sure to adjust the weight on the original one.
Yep.
Thank you.
While they're walking, Danan seems a little bit absent-minded and is just quiet.
I'll ask Dunnan, is there anything you need to do before we leave?
No, not really. But it's probably best if you get back in action. I need to distract my mind a little bit. But thanks for asking.
Okay, well, let us know.
Just not. I will.
And yeah, is Kelpip's open right now? It's an afternoon, right?
Afternoon, yeah. He can be available for you.
Yeah, so yeah, I would like to approach him.
You stop in, cleansing yourself on his stone at the entryway, and step within. And the cool air immediately fills with the familiar sense of incense and burning herbs that permeate his shop. Always giving this air of exotic mystery space. You're greeted by the dapper dressed halfling. What can I do for you?
It's nice to see you again.
Yeah, it hasn't
We're
been that
just,
long. Don't tell me you found another dragon all that time.
No, gladly not.
Sounds good. I haven't
We're
replenished my stocks yet. I need to make sure I have more stuff when you kill another dragon and bring me more money.
so we're actually on a job. This is classified, so you didn't hear this from us, all right? But
Just
we're
a proxy
trying
eyebrow
to.
for you to continue.
We're on our way to Akkad. We think we know one of the gates. We already told you about this, but we think we know one of the gates, and we have passage through, but we're not sure. But Captain Stormsurge said we should come talk to you before we left. I know you told us to hit up Phineas Finch, but was there anything else?
Finian.
Finian.
He's in Akkad now. I mean, if you're headed that way, are you open to doing a little bit of side work while you're there?
Yes, of course. We're also looking to get all these dragon parts processed, so if you have any leads on that, we'd appreciate it.
Couldn't help you on that, unfortunately. A lot of us are mum to share recommendations for those who would be directly competing for our business, you understand. That said, if you're in a card, and Finch knows I desire this, but hasn't directly been helping or hindering. The establishment had a extension in Akkad once upon a time. And conflict saw to necessitate me closing said doors. If you could assist in procuring a little bit more security in the space, I'd be happy to try to assist you in what way I could.
Sure. Is there anything we should know about who you're in conflict with? Are they still there?
As far as I know, yes. There was a lot of people that seem to be getting all sorts of notions of entitlement to my creations, and that because I created them and did business within the city, them as what they call representatives of the better Akkad would need to consign my goods without proper compensation. Storm Surge has always been good about making sure that Blackburn pays for what it takes. They didn't really want to pay. And much better to close that branch of the establishment tree until cooler heads prevailed.
Well, we'll see what we can do, but yeah, if the government is what wants your goods, I'm not sure guards will be enough, but we'll see what we can do. We've done crazier things.
Give me a moment. Oh, so yes.
Is there a way you can expedite our arrival into Akkad?
Let me check with Finch. See where he's about. Give me a few. He steps in through the curtain behind the bar top that serves as his counter, and leaves you alone in the establishment for a few minutes. Anything during that time?
No, I'm just amazed he left us alone.
I'm looking around. I'm not touching anything. I'm just curious.
Sure. Make me a investigation check. Ian. Alright. Roll me a d20, please.
Okay.
Plot twist: the area is permeated with wild magic.
Jeez. Alright.
Oh, we're just getting them all out of the way now. Great.
As you're sort of poking about, Tang, something catches your eye that draws your attention. It is a naked blade that's been set. It almost looks like a piece of art that would be displayed on a mantle rather than a weapon of war or battle. The blade is about maybe 18 inches long. It's not quite as slender as a rapier, but you suspect that A, because it's within the establishment, and B, based on the construction of the blade, that if this was to be used for anything, it would need to bear some type of enchantment. The blade itself, as opposed to looking like metal, appears to be made out of incredibly fine crystal and glass. The hilt has a elegantly carved but simple handguard. Seems great care was taken into making it look utilitarian but still elegant. And the grip has a beautiful purple wire wrap around it, into which have been set 3 beautiful emeralds, such that they would be against your palm when gripping the blade. It's a beautiful piece. You have no idea what it is, but it's beautiful.
My attention is going to be on that. I'm thoroughly distracted.
About 15 minutes of time pass. Kelpip reappears. Well, I have what might be good news. I can expedite your travel to Akkad this evening. Finch is making his way out of town at the moment, and I'll be able to get you to him. He'll be able to lead you in, and hopefully answer any questions about the city you might have. As I said, he's been there for some time, and might have a better grasp on things than I have at the present moment. Last time I was there, Aldrich was still a babe bouncing on his dad's knee, so my information is quite a bit out of date.
That is fantastic.
What's the downside?
Downside is the more immediateness of your impending travel if you had other intentions of anything. And that, well, Finch is going to try to recruit you.
Oh?
He didn't say as much, but I suspect I know him quite well.
For what?
For whatever he's involved in. He always likes to be where stuff is happening. And, I mean, that's a admirable trait to have when we want to find out stuff that's happening, but not always. And he's going to want you to help him get involved in whatever's happening. And get you involved in whatever's happening.
Well, I mean, that's kind of what we need to do. So our objectives might be aligned on this one.
It's up to you. Come here about dusk. I should have his location by then and be able to pop you over. Anything else?
No, I mean, you already took our money, so we're good.
and I strive to do so more often.
Hey, Kelpip, I have a question.
I may have an answer.
I was hoping you could tell me if this mixture of ingredients means anything to you.
Certainly.
A tail of a scorpion, a dead spider, snake's fang, with an amber liquid, and the heart of a small animal.
These are all ingredients for the same item.
Yes.
One moment. Shit. Why won't you? There we go. Didn't want to roll for me. Sounds to be some type of potion. You're missing a base for the potion if you're found a recipe.
Okay.
You need a fluid. Something upon which you base everything else in the brew. Now you could use a variety of magical liquids, one of which happens to be white dragon blood.
Okay.
But you'd need to simmer the base down prior to adding any of these ingredients yourself.
Okay.
It's technically possible with regular old water, but I wouldn't recommend it. The stronger the magical component of the base, the more effective the potion can be. Or at the very least, the more effective chance of success you have without wasting your ingredients.
Okay.
Why dragon's blood becomes so potent. Simple potions, such as those of the regenerative and restorative nature, to heal wounds and fix small injuries. A potent magical fluid such as that significantly amplifies the scale and power of the ingredients you put into it. You're starting with the best. Other things that have a more significant chance of failure, you extremely mitigate that chance by using very powerful ingredients to start with. Where did you come across this recipe?
It was along in our journeys. I found a creature, a mimic, that took the disguise of a healing potion. And when I slayed the creature, that was one of the last forms it took. And it was a potion.
It's a scorpion.
Snake fang, a dead spider, and then a very small heart that looked like it was
beating?
still. Yes.
Interesting.
I don't know. I thought about gathering the ingredients and then trying to make said potion and then testing it on myself, but I figured I'd ask you before doing such a thing.
If you try crafting something and you feel that you've made a successful product, save it until you run into me again. I'll see if I can figure it out without necessarily injuring yourself or me.
Alrighty. Will do. Are there any supplies up in up in a cod that we can possibly grab for you?
At the moment, no. If I get my shop front reestablished there, I'll be able to get whatever I need.
Right. Okay.
Not much good to have access to the desert oasis if I can't sell anything there, so. See you at dusk.
See you around.
Anything else anybody has for the day?
No, nothing really from me. Yeah.
I'm gonna go get more healing herbs.
Certainly, make me a roll for that.
If there's any training going on at Blackburn Keep, maybe I'd step in to help out.
Certainly. Roll me 2 athletic checks. You're looking for a total of 35 or higher. Very good. Siegfried, give yourself an inspiration point.
Woo.
Unfortunate thing.
That's okay. I have a stockpile of healing herbs that I haven't turned into potions yet.
Okay. Are you going to work on one of them?
I can only do it once per day.
Okay, gotcha. Okay. If there's nothing else in Elderthorn, with the remainder of the day that you have, you return to Kelpips around dusk. He meets you outside, leads you around to the back of the establishment, and through a large gate that really obfuscates prying eyes. This solid fence that surrounds towers almost about 9 feet. As he leads you in, those of you who are skilled, particularly in magic, which I believe is basically all of you, Aeolus is starting to pick this up. Notice that there is a shifting glamour above your heads, likely to disguise the ground cover here from anyone or anything that views it from above as well. What you suspected might be a rather simple yard and vegetable patch has all manner of magical plants and various things are growing within the space. He leads you through this area to a back corner where there is a circle of stone set into the ground. Alright, stand in that.
Okay.
I hop over.
Let's go.
Now, be extremely careful not to stick your hands out of or any other appendages out of the circle. I don't want your hand or foot or part of your wing, glancing at you, Tang, left behind. Imagine that the circle that you're standing in is walls, like a big cylinder, alright? So, huddle up in the center. Kelpip starts chanting in a tongue I don't believe any of you recognize. After about a minute, the runes that were previously hidden in the surface of these stones begins to glow in a slow spiral, rotating around the circle. The chanting continues, and now there's 2 sets of 2 little beads of light that sort of rotate, and that the runes fade slowly as the bead rotates away from them, going around the circle. The 3rd little path of light starts filling in, and the runes are staying almost fully illuminated at all times at this point. as the fourth one joins, you hear the chanting stop. Have fun, y'all. Don't do anything I wouldn't. As the rest of his sentence gets cut off, all of you feel a familiar squeezing sensation where it feels like there's an immense pressure on every face and side of your body for the briefest of instants. It's a little bit too much, and then it's immediately gone. And you find yourselves in a late afternoon, close to evening. The sun's still not quite set yet. Deserted area. There's small tufts of plants nearby that are seemingly able to survive the harsh conditions. Underfoot, there is very small, gravelly stone, not quite fine sand, but still very dry ground. The horizon is pockmarked by tall, squared-off structures that look to be towering, almost like monoliths, but they're not even. The sides are not clearly cut, maybe worn away by wind and rain, if any rain does fall here. Your vision is obscured slightly to the west, illuminated against in silhouette against the setting sun. A very wide plateau upon which has a number of sharp buildings and spires. You see your first glimpse of the cod. In these immediate moments, as you're taking in your surroundings, what are all of you doing?
We're supposed to be meeting Finian, right? Is he nearby?
Make a perception check. Pretty good.
I'll also wield that as well,
Sure.
because I still have 2 left since we've long rested.
45. Very good. Tearing your gaze away from the silhouetted spires of a cod, your vision shifts and you hear the low, throaty grumble of some type of creature. Immediately on edge, you whirl about and see approaching from the apex of a small hill off to your north a short individual, currently still bright enough that you're able to see Siegfried, but it's rapidly starting to get dark. The gentleman is draped in what looks to be very loose-fitting clothing, and probably very cool for the weather here. He has a green and white scarf wrapped around his neck. Looks to be made out of an extremely light fabric, as it billows a little bit with the gust of wind. And his hair is a hair, beard, and all of the almost fur that you would expect maybe on another creature. On his form, it is bright orange. As he comes up, hello! You're Calipip's friends.
You seem to be Finian, and Siegfried will also, at this
That's
point,
me.
has dark vision on himself.
As he
Since
draws
it's
closer, you
dark.
see upon his back is the sticking out is the hilt of a sword that looks like it might almost be too big for one of his stature. And as he comes down the hill, you notice he stands scant taller than maybe 2 feet 10 inches. Not a very tall individual.
So Finian is a. Oh, he's a very hairy gnome. Okay.
Pleasure to meet you.
I love it.
Yes, I'll reach
Kelpip
out.
said he'd send you to the top of the hill. Didn't realize you'd be way down here. Thought you were gonna get lost. It's easy to get lost out here.
Yes, this is completely different from where we're from.
I believe it.
Tang is looking visibly uncomfortable with the temperature.
Yes, quite warm. But I'm sure we'll
Warm
be
is
not
an
too bad.
understatement. It's blazing hot.
It'll get colder in about 20 minutes. The grounds out here get quite colder in the evening. You're the one to get inside. So I'd say bear with us for a while. We got about an hour journey back to Arkad.
All right.
Set you up at Rook's Meadle and boarding house. Don't worry, it's not as fancy as it sounds. Kind of a shithole.
Well, thank you, Finian. Kelpip said you'd know what we're kind of trying to help him do here.
He said you needed a hand. And there's plenty of things to do in Arkad. So I'm pleased to have you. Grumble, come here, Grumble. He gives a series of quick whistles, and the source of the animalistic rumbling sound you heard that had originally directed your attention towards the hill. There is a massive brown toad that is waddling its way down the hill, half sliding.
Well, while the toad is coming up, I want to cast Speak with Animals on myself.
Okay. You see that Toad has a harness and saddle and what looks to be a bedroll and a few saddlebags rolled up and attached to the back of it. Here's Grumble's handout.
I would like to introduce myself to Grumble and thank him for aiding us.
Just do what he says.
How long have you known Finian?
Grumble lets out a yawn.
Well, nice to meet you, Grumble.
If you're done bothering him, like to get us back. Kind of hungry. Been waiting out here for a while now. Kelpip's slow.
Alright. Lead the way then.
Mr. Finch hops onto Grumble's saddle, and you see he slides his feet through, feet and legs through a series of straps, which he then tightens down, and Grumble starts doing a lazy sort of hop walk in the direction of this massive plateau. So what brings you all here?
Well, we're here on a job for Kelpip. Exchange for transportation here, we agreed to help him reestablish his business in town.
Ha! That shrewd bastard got the better of you. Good fucking luck.
Huh? Well, we have to try.
Well, try as you might. You're walking into the lion's den of politics. It's a mess right now. I mean, it's fun, but it's also a mess. You understand?
Yes, we heard there was rumors of some trouble with the succession issue.
It's not just that. There's three real pillars within a cod that represent the divisions of power. So there's the Tavern, who makes day-to-day decisions of state and whatnot, which is good, but There's also the Council of the Oasis, and it's representatives from each of the major, specifically racial groups within the city. And there's a couple of representatives there from the very influential guilds and merchant factions. Mostly it's just to build the racial harmony within the city, make sure things don't get out of issue. They manage the trade and resource allocation with the city's infrastructure, both above and below ground. And then finally, you got the trade unions, the guilds, all of the others, and they control parts of the economy. The Miners Guild, the Artisans Guild, the Merchants Consortium. I believe one of your companies that the ODMC has one of their main headquarters here as well. They're part of that consortium. And they have, I mean, obvious influence on the political decisions going through the city and economic leverage with the services that they provide. If you don't keep them happy, your miners go on strike. The artisans stop making things. That means money stops flowing into the workers. It's a whole mess. Then you got a whole bunch of different blocks that have their own interests on top of everything else. How much do you really want to know? We got a bit of a travel to Rooks anyway.
Who do you think has the best shot for being the successor? By your opinion.
I'd hazard one or two guesses. If Sarvin Veiler were to pass away tonight, I'd expect a struggle, mind you. But it'd be between one of the members of the Dwarven bloc, which is one of the more influential factions. They're historical, they have a numerical dominance. About 50 to 60% of their cards dwarves. But they're real big on maintaining the tradition and control over the functions like mining and craftsmanship. So someone from them possibly. But the Guardians of the Veil, what a secretive group, we're not quite sure. They're quote concerned with protecting a card from external threats. Not that we've really ever needed it. And managing the magical resources of the city. There's some of the people that Kill Pip's not quite a fan of. But a lot of us have suspicions that they're involved in more espionage and intelligence gathering. And there's this, we think, a subgroup amongst them that has a growing interest within the city as well. And the Guardians of the Veil will also, despite not being anywhere near as large as the Dwarven bloc, would have the advantage and support of, they call themselves the Progressive Alliance, which is a number of younger members of the city that are non-dwarves. They're advocating for innovation and integration between the surface and the underground parts of the city. And they claim they seek to they want better representation, and the Dwarven bloc did not have much power, but their actions seem to be they want to subjugate the Dwarven bloc. It's a whole weird imbalance. But all of these have different members within the Council of the Oasis and the Guild and trade unions as well. It's a web. It's a fucking mess. But my money would be on someone from the Dwarven bloc, one of the representatives, or someone supported by the Guardians of the Veil and the Alliance.
And what's the process of the successor to be appointed then? Does it just claim the title, or is there a vote?
They would claim the title, and
But-
they'd be affirmed by the Council of the Oasis and the heads of the guild and trade unions. But no one's stupid enough to try to claim it if they don't already know that they have the support. So the moment someone announces that they're taking the sovereign's rule, it's the moment it's sort of too late. No one's stupid enough to try to announce it without the proper support. Because not only do you ruin yourself, probably die, you'd also alienate all of these guilds who you essentially spoke for before actually knowing their positions. Because you claiming it means that you are speaking for them at that moment. So you gotta make sure you have their support behind you ahead of time. Otherwise, you'll never get their support.
So everybody's trying to get their support.
But no one knows quite where the support is. You ever know if one of the members of the council says they'll support you, but they're actually gonna support someone else? It's
Step you in the back.
Now, I'm not in the council or nothing like that, so all my information's from the outside. But to my understanding, that's a rough overview of how everything goes. The main ways that anyone... Oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, keep going.
The main ways that anyone would be able to win support would be balancing concessions and acquisitions of power. Water is a big thing. We are an oasis city, so we have an upwelling from underground that helps support our crops. So any type of control over the agrarian products that we can produce, that the cod produces, is vital. Wealth from the mines is vital, which usually goes to a member of the Dwarven bloc, as they tend to represent the interests of the miners. Although the Miners Guild also has significant claim to them. So you have this battle of resource control, who's doing the most for who. But then you have the cultural tensions on top of that, the dwarves and the non-dwarves, the other minor races that make up. You got a couple gnomes, a handful of humans, a lot of half-elves, a few of your kind too. Nods at you, Siegfried. They came down from Karad, a little envoy, maybe about 200 strong or so, a few decades back, if I remember correctly. But they've been growing a bit since then. A few kids. Not a lot, but I mean, still important in the grand scheme of things. You don't want to alienate anyone. Because the other side is, if you alienate them, you alienating them would potentially spell disaster, because some other small group might assume if you're gonna do it to them, you're gonna do it to them as well. So even if I'll use gnomes for example, we don't have too many of them. I mean, more than giant folks, but if you slight the giant folks and your kin, and you're a gnome, well, you're not that much larger. What's to stop them from slighting you as well? So it's all everything's a balancing act, and nobody knows how everyone else is doing until someone thinks they have enough and they call for the check.
Tang's head is swimming. She has never encountered politics like this before, and she has no idea how to process any of this information.
So, what's exactly wrong with the Sovereign? Is he sick, or...?
Oh, he's fucking old. He's nearing, if I recall correctly, he's nearing his 4th century. He's quite old. And
I just ask myself, can there ever be trust between the guilds and the merchants if they all are just trying to win one another over? I mean, you never know if somebody steps.
Well, I mean, as messed up as
Finian just starts laughing. You got it exactly right, mister.
I mean, as messed up as it is, there's sort of a natural balance that gets struck. The moment someone tries to gain power to make everyone else submit, everyone else gangs up on them and puts them back in line. And so on and so forth.
It's like crabs in a pot.
Exactly.
Yeah, but then you're never
sure. Until
never
you're
sure,
the sovereign.
and I don't think that the position of being sovereign is really one that I would personally aspire to.
No.
Because you have to watch your back 24/7. Because somebody else wants to take your position.
How did the current sovereign take power? Did he do what you just talked about?
No.
Gain enough power and...
there was less contention in those times. He took the role in his early 2nd century, and been there since then. Previous monarch was his father, but it doesn't pass by succession of any sort. But when his father passed, he was considered of age and an easy candidate for the Dwarven bloc to appoint into the role, and there wasn't a lot of any type of other support. So they went for the swift hammer type of victory. The previous sovereign passed in battle, so no one was expecting the death. So no one had tried to start consolidating any type of power or alliances whatsoever. So the Dwarven bloc had Aldrich announce his sovereignty almost less than a 10-day after his father passed, and no one had made any significant moves yet, so there wasn't any opposition.
What are the people's general view on his reign as sovereign?
Tends to be good. The sovereign's role is mostly to make and establish and uphold the laws of Akkad. As you gather, he still has to walk sort of a fine line, but people also tend to recognize the sovereign's rule is a bit more potent, shall I say, than one of the councils or the guilds and trade unions trying to establish something, because there's less dissent in the head of a single individual than there is amongst a council of 30 to 40 people. There's always going to be someone that's not quite happy in a group of 30, but in a group of 1, well, if he says it, you can be fairly certain that that's what his opinion on it is. And whether you agree or disagree with it, at least you don't have to worry about inner quarrel amongst the top rank that set the rule. And then if you disagree with it, you go to one of the councils, the trade unions, and they bring them up and meet it. It's a whole mess. The biggest issue is when we know the monarch's getting older. Everyone's been vying and jockeying for positions for the last year and a half or so. Knowing that Aldrich's time is limited. Here, turn here, there's a path up the edge of the plateau. It's secret, please don't tell anyone about it. As he leads you towards a very narrow path that requires all of you to go one way. You notice that Grumble is almost has one side of his legs, front and back, over the edge, and is like gripping onto the vertical side of this very narrow trail, while the other set of legs is moving forward. He's stopped hopping and is now just doing a slow waddle. We'll be in the city proper in a moment, a few minutes. But
so, are there any?
Oh, sorry.
Oh. No, you just mentioned laws. Are there any very important laws that we should know about when we get in the city? Like,
don't mention where you're from at all. You're traveling merchants or mercenaries, I don't care which. I'd recommend going mercenaries. People ask less questions. You came here in the hope of work. You've been adventuring for a while. You heard good things about Akkad, and that's about it. I presume, based on what you're wearing, you already got maybe Kelpip. Warned you not to be wearing any insignia. Alright. As I was saying though, like that consolidation of power over the last year and a half, that's a very long time. But also keep in mind, there's a lot of very long-lived races that live here in Akkad. So, I mean, take Aldrich for example. As I said, he's nearly 4 centuries. You don't know if one of the council members makes a move today. You don't know if it's a move that they had planned out a 10-day ago, a month ago, a year ago, or a move in a game that they've been playing jockeying for power and position that spans back a century or more, that they could have conceived of 2 centuries ago. People are patient here. and move when they think the time is right. Now, sometimes that time is as soon as possible. Sometimes it's several decades in the future. My advice when you're talking with people,
Understood.
understand that anything they say might be honest, but might just be another move in a decades-long game. And the only one that you could probably trust to be almost completely honest would be Sovereign Valor, though I doubt we'll be able to get in to see him at this point.
I have a strange question, Finian.
Aye.
In a
He stops on the trail at this point.
on a previous adventure, I met someone from Akkad. I don't think I got his real name. He was in dire straits, and I helped him escape. But
Right.
he gave me this ring. Does it mean anything to you?
Takes a glance at it. It's a pretty gold ring. Not bad. I mean, was he proposing to you or something?
No, I mean it was a very valuable gift. If he was back in Akkad, I wanted to see if I could track him down. But if you don't
if you
know,
don't have a name, I probably wouldn't be able to help you.
Yeah.
You could ask around if someone went missing, but if you don't even know when he went missing, it's a big city. You got close to 5,000-6,000 peoples.
And second question, do you know anything about a person named Gwen Ardemil?
House of Temel. Temel.
Tamil?
Aye. They're one of the members of, I believe, the Merchants Consortium.
I see.
A family of half elves. They're a bit uppity, and they definitely fall onto the latter category I described of making moves over the course of decades and centuries, not just 10 days and months.
That makes sense based on the member of their family I met, but I guess that's some information. I just wanted to. That's basically what they told me. I just wanted to confirm. But
I'd advise trying to steer clear of them if you can help it.
all right.
I mean, do what you want, but I wouldn't trust them as far as I could throw them.
Enian, have you ever had dealings with the Iron Fang?
After a passion? Why do you ask?
Are there any members or organizations like them here?
Not here, no.
Okay.
Had a few members come here a while back, before I was here.
Do you know
That's a
anywhere
different
we?
story for a different time. Needless to say, they tried to set something up, I think, and they got run out of town.
Duly noted. I'll keep that in mind.
Do you know of any place we might be able to get dragon parts processed?
You need to check with the Merchants Guild about that. Dragon parts. Whew.
Yeah, I'm looking to have armor made. I have all of the, most of the material. I have all the dragon parts needed for the armor.
Yeah, right. There's a few skilled smithies in town. They're all members of the Merchants and Miners Guilds, respectively. They have a dual membership. To be able to buy the goods and then sell them.
That's profitable.
It works. As I said, spiderwebs. It's all a fucking mess.
And since we're posing as mercenaries, is there a good place to pick up a job or two?
Well, if you want to stop asking questions and get me to talk about the city while we're walking through it, probably good. We're about 2 blocks away from Rooks, and we'll be able to set up and talk more there.
Alright.
He leads you up the last roughly 50 feet of trail, and through a cracked section of wall that you all have to turn sort of sideways to. Grumble just hops over the wall itself. Down the streets, the sun has properly set at this point, and all of you can feel, with the exception of Siegfried, can feel the chill in the air almost immediately. The streets are not crowded, but not abandoned either. There's a few people going to and from. He leads you up one block and down another until you come to a structure that's set apart from the other buildings, but not so much that more than an alley sits between it and the nearest, next to the nearest building. It appears as if someone had a home of some sort that upon which was expanded over and over and over again, with no thought to previous or future expansions every time something was added into it, until you have this hodgepodge building. The sign out front says Rook's Meat Hall and Boarding House in faded paint upon a wooden sign that's placard next to the entrance. The Meat Hall and Boarding House stands as a paradox in the bustling city of Akkad. From the outside, the establishment appears almost a modern, sturdy structure built from beams and sun-bleached stones with an orange tinge to them that blends seamlessly into the surrounding architecture of the oasis city. Smoke trails from one of two towers that appear to be chimneys, the shorter one. The taller one, which is absent of smoke, has a large, scoop-like wooden structure adorning its apex, facing in 4 directions. As you step inside, the interior reveals a striking contrast to the utilitarian exterior. The hall is sprawling, with long wooden tables and benches that bear marks and patinas of many years of use, giving the space a well-worn, lived-in feel. Intricately woven tapestries and a collection of artifacts from various cultures adorn the walls, all of which have collected years of dust from improper housekeeping. The air is filled with the rich and sweet aroma of exotic spices and slow-roasted meats. Despite the busy atmosphere of the decor, the clientele is surprisingly sparse. Only a few tables are occupied, mostly by individuals who seem deeply absorbed in their own worlds. Some are alone, resting before whatever adventure they have next, and others are small groups engaged in hushed and intense discussions over maps and scrolls. Above the main hall, as you enter, see an open ceiling leading to the first balcony of the boarding house. Hand out for you.
Whoa.
As you are here, what would you like to do?
What's Finian doing?
Finian's going over to the bar.
Yeah, I'll follow him over.
Grumble goes over to what appears to be an empty fireplace and just sort of plops down, sprawling their legs out. Alright, how many rooms for you? 2, 3, 5, 10? What you want?
I think 2 should be enough.
Alright. Rook!
Unless Dunnan,
Rick!
do you want your own room?
It's fine, I stay with you.
Okay.
Rook, I need rooms! It takes a few minutes. And a very wrinkly, bald Furbolg. You've seen other members of this race before. wanders out. Hello, Finian. Said you want rooms. How many do you want? 2 for me friends. 1 for me and Grumble. Put it on my tab. And whatever they eat and drink is not on my tab. Very well. The individual who's been addressed as Rook reaches underneath the counter. There's some rattling and shifting of items. And he produces 3 keys. He hands 1 to Finch and leaves the other 2 in the bar top. Thank you, Rook. He wanders away. All the rooms here, they're pretty comfortable. But most importantly, they're private.
So
Yes.
then let's retire.
Whatever you want. I'm gonna drink.
Well, you said something about this place being related to jobs.
Perhaps you misunderstood. This place is an ideal place for people looking for jobs. Not
I
that
see.
there's jobs here. This is...
No, I thought there might be a posting of sorts.
There's a few
board.
job boards around the city. You could take a look for them.
Yes. All right.
Up to you.
I'll have a drink. I'll have a drink and a meal before I retire. This place has mead.
No, it's called the meat tower for no reason. Right. Well, I hope you like it. He doesn't really carry... I mean, he carries some wines. Don't ask for beer.
No, I'll try anything.
Before everyone heads upstairs, or heads to the rooms, can I take both of the keys and do a sweep of each room?
Certainly. As Finian mentioned, the rooms look comfortable. They're simply furnished. There's a bed a bit larger than you're used to in each room. Wash basin, small dresser, a series of hooks along the walls for cloaks, bags, traveling accoutrements. Each room also has a very small, it looks to be another empty hearth in each of these rooms, made out of stone. It's about maybe a foot wide and half a foot tall. It looks extremely small for a fireplace.
Can I investigate those to
Sure.
see if there's anything untoward?
Sure. Make an investigation check for me. 17, pretty good. Takes you a moment. You crouch down near it on the floor level. You see no ashes or anything that would indicate this is a place to burn things. As you get closer to it, you feel a breeze coming from this, quite cool and comfortable. As you place your hand in front of it and then test it a little bit more with a scrap of fabric, it's not gusting, but there's almost like a constant breeze of cool air that's entering this space.
Okay.
Make me just a straight intelligence check. That's what you notice. And it's present in each of the 2 rooms.
Seems to be something to keep the rooms comfortable even during the day. All right.
Based on your observations, you surmise as much, yeah. Not quite sure how it works or what's the source of this cool air, but that it is.
All right. I will return to the group. I'll hand Tang one of the keys and then hand the other to Tanin. Rooms look secured.
Any reason why they shouldn't be? I mean, nobody was expecting us, right?
Hopefully. Well, Finian, if there's anything you need from us,
You can see he already has a rosy tinge to the top of his cheeks and a flush across his nose.
well, you know where to find us.
I do. I mean, I'm staying here as well.
Well, I mean, let us know if you need anything. Thank you for being our guide so far.
Happy to. The only thing I would request is, whatever you do find out, let me know. I'm just curious for more bits of information. What's going on?
Sure. Well, good night.
Rick, give me that bottle again. And wanders off, and then you see that Grumble is already sleeping by this larger sort of hearth space along one of the walls. Anything the group of you would like to do for the evening?
As a ritual in the room that Aeolus is in, he's going to prepare, or he's going to spend the time to cast Alarm.
Certainly. Easily done.
Well, maybe before I head to bed, I'll just sit in the dining area and maybe just try and listen to what people are talking about. But you said people aren't talking really in this place.
There's not a lot of
Yeah.
people in the first place.
Yeah. Then I'll
if
just-
you'd like to do so, you can certainly do so. I'd ask you to make a deception check to start with, because anyone attempting to listen into a conversation in this space is going to be conspicuous unless you're trying to be surreptitious about it.
If this seems like kind of a secretive place, so I'm not gonna test it. I'm just gonna go to bed.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, you're able to do so. It's just you will stand out in
Yeah.
a non-crowded space. Like, if it was bustling, it'd probably be a little bit easier because you'd just be another person moving around. But here, all of the tables that are occupied, that change a bit as the evening progresses and Aeolus checks out the rooms and whatnot. They were all sort of spaced decently far away from each other to have privacy.
I guess, and if I have some time before I go to bed, I'd try and do my best to memorize the route we took here, that Finian just let us on.
Certainly, yeah, easily enough done. You can take note of the route, and one of your pieces of parchment, if you care to.
Yeah, just in case we ever need to use it.
Yeah, of course. All right. Anything else this evening? Anybody else?
Tang is going to excuse herself to go preen and try to remove as many of her feathers that she'll probably molt due to the heat. She is struggling. She is an Arctic bird.
Yeah, this is a little bit toasty for you. I mean, the evening's nice.
Mm-hmm.
You haven't been here
I know
midday
it's
yet.
gonna not be fun for her. So.
Yeah. Okay. Easily done. You like Aeolus find the cool air hearth within the room. Quite pleasant by comparison. You all turn in for the evening?
Yeah.
All right. Let's take our break here. Call it about 10 minutes or so. Works for everybody?
Yep.
Alrighty. See you all in a few. Wonderful. All right. Getting back into it. The evening proceeds. Tang, while you're resting this evening, with your perception specifically, you hear a sound which you actually recognize. It sounds to be the sound of crunching ice and like cracked ice and someone walking over cracked ice with boots. You recognize this sound. It stirs you in the early hours of the morning. The faint rays of sunlight are just barely starting to illuminate the far eastern sky, over the tops of the mountains that are likely beyond your vision at this point. But you awaken to this sound, sort of very faintly present within the room. Goes on for about 10-15 minutes, varying in intensity, and then stops.
Tang is alert and wants to go investigate.
Certainly. You head downstairs. The common room of Rooks is presently unoccupied by individuals. Grumble has seemingly moved from his spot at some point during the evening. No one's presently eating or dining of any sort. And another furbolg you do not recognize, clearly not Rook, is currently tending to the bar. You suspect because they're standing behind it, but they're currently eating a plate of some type of food. They look up when they see you, a few bits of you presume to be their breakfast sort of dribbling from their chin. As they're like, "Oh, sorry, didn't realize anyone was gonna be up yet. You want breakfast?" They say through a half-full mouth, trying to sort of cover it to be polite. Not this, I'll get you your own plate.
I'm okay, thank you.
What can I help you with?
I heard what sounded like ice. I was confused.
Oh, that would be Rook. We collect the winds from one of our spires. They're fed down through our basement to make ice. Very thin sheet of water over the cold stones, and the breeze that's been cooled by the stones as it comes down through our chimneys chills the water until it freezes. We break it up, throw it on another sheet, break it up. It goes throughout the evening.
May I see?
She seems torn. Make an insight check. You gather she's torn because on one side, she's seeing you as a customer and a member of the clientele, who is not supposed to be presumably back in the inner workings of the meat house. The other side of it is you suspect you might have caught her doing something she's not supposed to be doing, which is eating in the front of house, as opposed to being on her break. But because it was so early, she's sort of torn with the favor for a favor, don't tell anyone so I don't get in trouble, versus don't take clientele to places that they're not supposed to be.
I will hurriedly say, "Oh no, that's okay. I absolutely understand if that's not allowed, because I don't want her to get in trouble either way." and I want to make a friend here.
Thank you. We'll have some iced drinks and beverages in a few minutes if you'd like one. On the
And
house.
That would be lovely. Thank you. Yeah. Hop up onto a seat.
A few minutes pass. After which time, she finishes her plate of food, which appears to be some type of meat, small bones. And she just sort of picks apart with this sort of two-pronged fork, and everything falls off the bone. And a medley of looks to be some type of vegetable or fruit that's steamed, but looks to be like a strange, refreshing hot. And there's a smattering of what, like red spice of some type over the top of the fruits or vegetables, whatever they are. She takes her plate and I'll be right back with that beverage for you. Moment passes and she brings back a small tankard, about half height. Almost makes you think of like if someone decided to make a tankard into a teacup, with a collection of different shards of ice, some of them sort of in these flat shapes that are sort of sticking jaggedly out the top. She reaches into and sort of breaks them a little bit so that way they're all sitting close to level with the surface, and pours a yellowish orange sort of fruit juice, it looks like, into this small mug. Here you are. Thank you so much for understanding. Please enjoy. If you want any food or anything, please let me know.
Thank you. My name's Tang, by the way.
Pleased to meet you. I'm Rook's sister. I don't own the place, but it keeps me afloat.
Tang smiles. Well, not many people own their own place.
A bit do. Rook's not his real name. He just goes by Rook. My name is Irna. I-A-R-N-A. Brain did not want to do that.
Nice to meet you.
Pleasure.
Have you lived in Akkad long?
All my life? I've been in and out. I used to work helping grow some of the fruits actually used to make that beverage. Hope you enjoy. But my husband passed away unexpectedly a few years back, and well, without him, we couldn't really keep everything afloat. But Rook, the family's got to look out for each other, you know. Help stepping up here, a little bit less straining work, gives me a place to stay as well.
Good.
I think he wanted company as well. He's very bad at being a bachelor. Do you have any friends?
My friends are all at Hollow. Many, many, many miles north.
I don't know what Hollow is.
Mm.
Is that a place?
It's
A
snowing
thing?
all the time there.
What's snow?
It is tiny flecks of ice that fall from the sky because it's so cold there.
Interesting.
The water freezes before the rain comes.
That sounds fascinating. Gives you sort of a genuine smile. There's a bell there. Please ring if you need anything. I need to start getting the rest of the breakfasts set up for the patrons.
And thank you for the morning company. I will not get in your way. I sit and I just enjoy my drink.
It is a beautifully balanced as far as sweetness goes. Blend of almost like a mango pineapple hybrid fruit. It's a bit pulpy and thicker than you expected, and as the ice slowly melts into it and thins it out a little bit, it just gets better and better.
Torn between drinking it quickly because it tastes good and letting the ice melt. I stare at my cup.
It's quite refreshing.
Mm-hmm.
About an hour passes, and the rest of you awake in whatever room you were sleeping in. Everyone can go ahead and long rest if you've not done so on your sheets as of yet. The sun has barely risen over the horizon at this point, but you are all stirred from your reverie by the sounds of activity out in the streets, bustling as if it was midday traffic. Everyone can make me, including you, Tang, can make me an intelligence check. Insight if you're proficient as well. Either or.
Ha!
Aha.
Whoa!
A lot of 20s for you guys today.
I appreciate this.
Yeah. So Tang, maybe it occurs to you because of your proclivity for cooler climates, and your aversion to even the heat of the late afternoon, early evening that you arrived in. But it strikes you that most business is probably done in the early morning, such that the hottest part of the day can be, the streets can be probably abandoned or avoided as best as possible prior to the evening business picking up again. A several hour long siesta in the middle of the day to avoid the heat.
I will. I'm assuming all my party members are aroused at this point, or some of them still sleeping.
They're all roused to the sound. Would you all have come down for breakfasts?
Yeah.
Definitely.
Absolutely.
Okay. Then I will let them know that we should probably get moving that sooner rather than later, because I get the feeling that people will be settling in indoors.
So instead of trying to dive into this viper's nest, why don't we just take a stroll today, see what's up, maybe head to the Merchants Guild and just act like we're mercenaries looking for to get some parts processed, see what shakes out. And then
Yeah, I also want to swing by one of the blacksmiths as well, see what, just get a feel for where we're at.
yeah. And I mean, I think we need to see the ODMC, but maybe not make a beeline there. Maybe we can see them tomorrow or something. I don't know. I have a feeling people notice out of towners here.
And I look at myself, like I look down on my feathers and my body.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, probably especially outsiders like me. I can't imagine
Exactly.
there are many owl in here.
I mean, at least you have the excuse you flew here. Makes it a little bit more reasonable than some others, but yes. But yeah, let's go check out the guild, see what they're about. Maybe we can see one of those job boards Finian mentioned.
No, you do not see Finian at breakfast.
Yeah.
But you all set out for the day?
Maybe I would just leave a message with Rook if Finian asks. We went to the Merchants Guild. That's it.
All right. So you will leave this message with
With
Yarna.
Yarna, yes, please.
She will sort of give you pause. Sorry. That's not something you do. If you
Okay.
start asking around for the Merchants Guild, people will laugh at you. You would need to go see a specific merchant, who is a member of the guild.
Oh, I see.
The members have access to their meeting hall, but it's not a place for you to guests to take meetings with them. You could
I see.
ask around for merchants with a certain purview, or what have you.
Is there area of the city where merchants congregate, like a district of sorts?
There's a few. So we have a open air markets. They close a bit before high sun, and they open about 2 hours again later. I'd caution you not to wander in the open air markets in that interim time. Most merchants take their reverie nearby their stalls, usually within line of sight, even if you do not see them. And interlopers, especially people who, no offense, are clearly not from around here, will likely be seen as pickpockets at best and intentional thieves at worst, wandering around a bunch of what they would see as unguarded goods. I warn you, they are all well guarded. So just don't be in the open air markets during that time. Nearby those markets, on side streets and in the surrounding vicinity, you'd find merchants who have either been successful enough to purchase their own storefronts and maintain them, or whose trade and craft require larger areas. Smithies, weavers, all manner of sorts. That just need more space to be able to do any type of craft reliably well. You'll find a few jewelry makers in the open air markets. Most of them have their own shops. They're in a row, 5 or 6 buildings. If you're looking for gemstones, necklaces, bracelets, bangles, whatever have you. Very skilled with both precious stones and metals. I hope that helps. I would caution you, if you find yourself, I don't really like to speak ill, the northwestern sort of quadrant of the city is not an ideal place to travel. There is a group gaining support within those spaces known as the Order of Whelm. You can recognize their basically territory, if that makes sense.
Okay.
By the presence of the iconography, I should say, what appears to be a trident placed upon the walls and edifice of the various buildings there. Number of shops in that region are closed, and what is considered their territory includes Akkad's great library. We're not quite there's not been violence. I don't want to give you the wrong impression, but they're a bit standoffish to anyone not of their order. And will most certainly not give anyone access to any of their goods if you are not of them. And every month that passes, seemingly more and more merchants become of them.
You seem very knowledgeable of this location. Have you seen anyone sporting this symbol? And I'm going to take out one of the holy symbols that I have and show it to Iarna.
Which symbol?
I have multiple holy symbols of Evokalist.
This would be the two concentric circles overlapping in a vertical fashion.
Yes.
Taking a glance at it, studies it for a moment. Can't say I do. I'm sorry.
Okay. Thank you. Just trying to get a feel of what practices aren't looked upon in a positive light here.
If you of faith, as long as you don't start shouting it in the streets, no one's really going to give you any type of qualms. To each their own.
Yarna, I also have a question regarding social custom, if you don't mind.
Be happy to help.
It seems that water is quite valuable here, correct?
Yes, it is. There's a few public wells. Anyone is welcome to use them, including out of towners. You just need to pull the water up yourself. And not cut in line, should there be one, at the moment. Don't take someone else's water that they've worked to pull up from the well, so to speak. And most households run on this sort of system. And even many merchants as well, storefronts and whatnot. A few pay for direct access, and have contracted members of the Guardians of the Vale to place minor enchantments on their stone pipes, such that it will draw the water up without physical input. Money needs to be paid to the Guardians of the Vale and to the Council every few tendae to retain these access and privileges. It can be a bit costly, and most merchants have their families working for them. Send the kids to go get the water. You know?
How do people feel about individuals who could, per se, create water magically?
It depends on the individual. The common person would adore you. Any member of the Council of the Oasis or the Guardians of the Vale who is aware of you creating water would recognize you as cutting into their potential profit margins, and likely take an adversarial stance.
I see, so I should be careful then.
If you're able to do so, do so for whomever you deign appropriate, but don't be so blatant about it. Most magic is unwise to utilize in the streets.
Imagine people are watching.
The members of the Vale would be aware of it.
Understood.
Most magical practitioners owe at least some degree of alliance to the Vale. even if it's not their primary group and block, so to speak. Maybe they're a member of the Dwarven block. They still owe a small degree of allegiance to the Veil. They protect arcane magical practitioners, but in turn also expect support.
Understood. Well, that's good to know.
Well,
Anything else I can help you out with?
No, I'll leave a
Good luck
I'll
with
leave
your
a-
shoppings.
gold piece with Yarna.
Thank you.
Oh,
They-
that's actually a really good. What is the common currency used?
silver. Mostly silver and gold, depending on the wealth of the merchant you're dealing with.
Okay.
If you're giving coins to beggars, you're welcome to do so, mind you. I wouldn't start flashing about gold coins to beggars, as you will be swarmed.
Right.
But you are able to give coin out. Most things cost coppers. If you are... I mean this not with any offense, as you are our clientele. Those in significantly higher stations than you all likely deal outside of the realm of coin, and instead trade and purchase and sell in gems and favors.
Okay.
Yes, I imagine those are more valuable here than any kind of coin.
The value depends on station. A favor from, once again, no offense, one of you means very little compared to a coin, but the favor from a representative or a head amongst one of the guilds or unions, well, that probably bears more weight than a few grams of diamonds.
Can't imagine spending your entire life keeping track of it all. It must be exhausting.
Yeah. Depends on where you fall in the castes.
Well, thank you again. We instead of the Merchants Guild, we're gonna go check out those smithies. So thank you again for your help.
Good luck. All right. You're heading to the open air markets and the
Yep.
smithies and other craftsmen in shops on off streets, correct?
Yeah, I
Yes.
imagine we just go to the market and slowly make our way there. Yeah.
All right. Let me move you all to a map. It is not annotated, but that way I can give you an idea of the scale of this city.
This must be like very, very jarring
Oh,
for Tank.
Lee.
So the large structure here, you can all see what I'm pinging,
Yep.
is the Library of Akkad. It is the tallest structure across the entire city. You all are located down here, roughly.
Okay.
And then the merchants are all along this quadrant. This area. The measuring tool is to scale as well for the map. So you're
And
about 1,500 feet across.
and this is the area of the city with the Trident people.
Is all of these districts.
Okay.
All of that.
So they control the library basically as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the city's about 1,500 feet north to south. And it's all situated on the top of this plateau. Alright.
That's amazing. Holy shit.
Making your way to the merchants, I'd like all of you to roll me an investigation check. You're looking specifically for a smithy. What, if anything else, are the group of you looking for?
I mean, probably not just a smithy, but a smithy that seems to deal with animal parts. I guess.
Okay. Yeah. Give me 3 investigation or perception checks, your choice.
Man, my
Okay,
investigation
forward.
checks are not great.
So you're just lost in the bustle of the city. You're able to see over everyone, so what you thought was going to, or most people, what you thought was going to be like sort of this advantage, as true to Finian's word, most of this crowd at any given moment is dwarven. There's also gnomes and halflings that make up part of the crowd as well. You're probably looking at about 70% of the populace is dwarven or a smaller stature race. So you are able to see over most heads here. And the taller individuals, half-elves, Goliath here or there, that you just sort of catch an eye, that you sort of catch sight of as they're going about their business. It's more information than you were prepared to be able to take in. Aeolus and Tang. About an hour's worth of walking. You notice it's difficult to get around these streets with how busy they can get. And you catch sight of what looks to be a sign that has a crossed hammer and pair of tongs. There's no name to this shop. You've moved off of the main open-air market where buskers are selling all manner of fruits, vegetables, dried meats, fishes. There's someone that's currently roasting what appears to be lizards and delivering this gratuitously, overpoweringly sweet stench that's filling part of one of the markets. It's not unpleasant, but it's a lot all at once. Moving off of the main thoroughfare, though, and going between the shaded by large curtains or thin blankets that are suspended across the canopy between buildings, shaded streets, you find this shop. The crossed hammer and tongs, indicating what you hope to be a smithy of some sort. Nameless. You do hear the small ping of a hammer, not quite hitting an anvil. It sounds like a more dull sound at the moment. The entryway seems to have the door removed and set off to the side, and instead has a curtain that has been slung across it and been pinned slightly to the side, such to be able to easily give shade without blocking airflow. Stepping inside, the group of you see a burly-looking dwarven gentleman. He's got the hint of what appears to be chainmail underneath his garments, although you suspect it might be not a full suit, as it does not cover his collarbone and chest. Instead, might be fastened to the upper parts of his arms, somewhere underneath his tunics. He wears a set of steel forearm bracers, incredibly well-muscled arms and hands, and his leather smock, which he wears, is oddly technicolor. Various purples, oranges, and greens adorn it. It's all muted in coloration, but as you enter, he sort of looks up from the work, and you can see he's currently working on carving and a design into a bit of leather strap, the source of the hammer and the dull thudding sounds that you heard. As he sets the tool back into a small sort of work belt, looks up. Hello, welcome. What can I do for you?
Yeah. Aeolus, I think you're up.
Yeah. Hold on, I'm sorry. Lost my train of thought. Not used to
Okay, it's okay. I heard Aeolus. He holds out a meaty mitt.
Yes.
And his fingers, like thick sausages, sort of wrap around your hand. Despite you being of larger size, you feel dwarfed by this individual, as gives you a firm grasp on your hand. Waris, pleased to meet you. I presume you came for some bit of leather work or smithy jobs. Otherwise, you'd not be in my shop.
Yes. Have you worked with creature parts before? Incorporating them into armors?
I mean, what else would you call leather? Truthfully.
Well,
I've done a little bit for the miners. Not to sing my own praises. Made a beautiful, it's not available for sale, picked up yesterday, I'm sorry, shield out of a bulette plate that some of the miners were able to subdue and kill. It's a shield, nice, good ornamental. Don't think they were intending to use it for anything. Bit of a wall piece, but still beautiful. Depends on the parts, really. Here's the handout for Waris as well. Waris here.
Aeolus feels very tiny. Yes. So here, and Aeolus will reach into his bag and will pull out a couple of the loose dragon scales. We recently fell a creature that I was looking to turn its hide and scales into armor. And I'll hand one of the scales over.
Palms it for a moment, tests its weight in his hand. Do you mind if I...
Sure. Go ahead.
Heads over to a workbench and pulls out a series of different tools. All of them appear to be sort of these long-necked, sort of almost like what you would imagine like an ice pick or an ice knife to break something up. But the end is slightly bent. The last about inch of them. And each of the tips has a different coloration, and there's a different colored band on each of the handles. And he starts pulling them out one by one, scraping them against the scale, and then continuing along the path of the tools. He gets towards the very end, and finally starts scraping. Okay. This is... You said you filled a creature.
It was a white dragon.
Well, I was gonna ask if it was a big lizard, but I mean that... I guess. If it was blue, I would have thought something else. But yeah, we could absolutely make something out of this. I mean, it's about the right size for the back of a gauntlet. I could affix it in such a way. You said you have a couple of these?
So I'll start to pull out
a set of gauntlets, probably.
The hide and this, like, I'll start pulling out all the dragon parts that we have.
Oh my, okay.
Except for the dragon blood.
That's quite a lot more than I was expecting. Yeah. He takes the folded hide over to a different workbench and starts stretching it out, holding one piece of it, sliding it along. He's measuring the yardage that he has at the moment. Yeah, we could I could definitely make something out of this for you. You looking for a cloak? You have enough here for about a cloak. A little bit conspicuous, but I mean, up to you. I mean, you killed something like this. Here. Maybe you want to show that off. Maybe armor. Probably enough for a decent set of scale mail, perhaps.
If if you could work
Who's
it
the
as a part of a scale mail design, and then anything you have left over, you can take for your own.
All right. It's gonna be tight. Take me a while to get this taken care of. I need to finish my current contract. How quickly do you need it?
We'll be here for a while, I
Okay.
imagine.
Well, I'll quote you two things then. You can either have it in about a 10-day, call it, and accounting for anything left over. Charge you. Sort of does some figuring in his mind. About 1,000 silver. Or you could have it in closer to 2 to 3 10-day. That'll run you 850.
I think we can do the 10-day list. We have a few gems we can hand
Yeah.
over.
Yeah. You got two options, really. You got good, you got quality, you got speed, and you got price. You got to sacrifice on one of them, and I'm not going to sacrifice quality. So you're either going to sacrifice speed or price. Up to you.
We can settle for the 1 10-day. I also have these if you're interested in taking them off my hands for trade, and Aeolus will begin to pull out the Medusa longbow and the scimitar.
Interesting. A bit large for me. Might be able to find some buyers for it. You want to leave them here with me? I'll try to sell them for you, and I'll give you half of whatever I sell them for towards the towards what you owe for the armor.
That works.
Perhaps we can do a down payment now and then pay you the rest on completion.
Of course, half now.
Yes. So 500 gold now.
500 silver.
500 silver. Yes.
It'd be 50 gold.
Yeah. I mean, we could trade those fire rubies, Aeolus.
Yeah. Or we can just.
So if we give him 3 of them, that's 600. So that's just like 100 over the down payment, which I think is okay. And then we would add 400 to pay on completion.
Yeah, that works.
All right, so you're giving up the fire rubies, right?
Yep, the 3 fire rubies.
All right, Aeolus, take note on your sheet that you've paid 600 of 1,000.
Yep. I'll remove the fire rubies from the party loot as well.
I just did.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
And Aeolus, please also take note. Your armor will be ready on the 10th day of Oktar.
Paid 600 out of 1,000.
Sorry. What was the blacksmith's name again?
Aha! I spelled it right. Yes.
I forgot the guy's name.
Weras. Weras. Hewer. Hewer. There you
Yeah.
go.
I butchered the spelling of where we're at, though.
Yes.
Akkad?
Yeah.
EKHKHAD.
That is not how I was mentally spelling it.
No, me neither.
No, I was missing a K.
Mine was
And A.
AKAAD was my
yeah,
brain.
yeah. That was mine as well.
The traditional Akkad, which was
Yeah.
an actual city.
Yes,
Yeah.
That's exactly how I spelled it.
And it's Ekkad. Yeah.
It just makes me think of XXX, which is a ECKS, which is a continent in
Oh.
series.
But once we were done with the transaction, I would want to ask you, Waris, excuse me, Waris, you're part of the Merchants Guild, correct?
Yes.
Um,
Proud member.
you represent them well. We're
I'm
We're-
just a member.
we're
Glad to
we're in
hear it,
town
though.
looking for some work. Do you know if the Merchants Guild might have any jobs available, or is that not how it's done here?
It's not something that the guild themselves were to sign. Different members might have different needs. Your best bet, who always needs work. You could check with some of the not specifically the merchant. I mean, some of them are members of the Merchants Guild to sell the goods legally within the city. But you could check with some of the agriculturalists, the fruit growers throughout the city. They have a very limited acreage upon which to grow their fruits and whatnot. As such, they demand a lot from their workers, and there's a pretty high turnover rate. So they usually need extra help if you're just looking for something to make ends meet at the moment. It's not glamorous work by any means.
No, I
Probably
was more
sort of
thinking of it.
Holds the hide probably below someone who's doing stuff like this.
Yes, but I mean, it's helpful information nonetheless. But yes, we're looking for more mercenary-oriented work, but we'll keep it in mind. Thank you.
Welcome. Beyond that, you check with different individuals. The City Watch doesn't really contract anything out. So you're out of luck in that regard. Best work, at least for what you're doing. I don't know if they have anything at the moment. Based on the time of year, they might start be getting ready with something. Check with the ODMC. It's the Opulent Depths Mining Company. They're a member of the Miners and Merchants Guild here. They're also one of the major players within the consortium. But they usually are starting to prepare a ship or two near the docks. Then get a distance on that. The docks are about a league to the southwest. Maybe a little bit less. And they usually hire guards to escort caravans from the city proper to the docks. Spend a few days there guarding the supplies, and then they escort the next empty caravan back. They're usually loading up ships this time of year. Nothing's set in sail yet until about the last month of winter, so that way they can get to the northern waters right as the oceans begin to thaw up that way. Trip's only done once a year.
Are there any, for lack of better terms, creature hunting guilds up here?
Not that I could say. The miner, as I said, I made the shield out of a Bullet scale. Hide armor. I'm not sure of the proper terminology. The miners always seem to find something or other every few 10 day under the city. Akkad is... You're out of tatters. The city that you see as you're wandering around is only about half of the city. Maybe a little bit less than that. All of the plateau and then down into the earth beneath it is a honeycombed network of streets, roads, town, little collections of living areas and whatnot. And then beneath that is the ODMC and miners' territory that are continuing to hollow out and delve deeper and deeper and starting to spread out underneath. The days get hot. We all like the sun and the brightness and the warmth, but we can't go wide. We have to go down. The plateau is only so big.
Does the underground area of the city, do they have a break in the middle of the day like the upper city?
No. Most of that space, to the benefit of the miners and the ODMC and others involved, some merchants even do it if they have enough trusted members of their family or partners, will operate continuously, operating in about 4 shifts over the course of a day. What we think of as day and night doesn't really exist down there. Everyone has their own concept of what the day is for them. No sun. Really throws someone off if they spend a year down there or something and then they come back up surface side. Most of us live lives back and forth though. So
Understood.
a lot of people will still follow the solar and night cycles, but the other side of some people choose to stay down there all the time.
Well, thank you then. I think we might go look up the ODMC, see what they have to offer.
Happy to. I'll see you in about 10 days with the other 400 silver. Keeping in mind that if I manage to sell these weapons, I'll take a little bit off the top for that.
Thank you.
Of course, thank you.
I'll hold your gear for 3 days after it's completed. So I expect to see you by the 13th. After that point, if someone comes in and offers me the money for it, it's theirs.
That's fair. Alrighty, well,
Offers you his hand
Thank
to
you.
shake on the deal.
Aelus will shake. Do you have anyone that you can recommend for weaponry?
Weaponry. Sort of blows out. Big sigh. You could try Nucted. Here's the spelling. He's a bit strange, shall we say? But he knows what he's doing. He's one of those weirder individuals I talked about. He's usually open from dusk till dawn.
Alrighty, well, thank you for everything, and Aelus will hand him a few silver pieces per the information.
Thank you.
And just to confirm, Waris is a dwarf?
Whereas, yeah, whereas he
Where-
was a
whereas-
dwarf.
Alright, Aelus, where to? Do you want to go check out Noctid or head to the ODMC?
I will follow your lead.
Well, I mean, if we're gonna go look at weapons, we might as well have some money, and I don't think Tang is gonna tolerate us giving away all her jewels.
Yeah, no.
Tang will absolutely not tolerate that.
So let's.
She had given Siegfried and Aeolus a side eye when they said, "Oh, we have gems to trade," and like instinctively clutched the diamonds closer in her mouth.
Yeah. So maybe let's see if we can get a job going. It'll maybe help get us some connections. And
Yeah, sure. Yeah. And
he mentioned a bulette. I've only heard stories of those, and I definitely want to see one up close if we can.
You read my mind.
All right, ODMC then. Go.
Question:
This is only half the city. This is crazy.
if there are like creatures like bulettes around here, do we need a job assignment from someone to go hunt them, or could we just go do that and bring back the parts to sell?
I mean, we can
Right.
go see. I don't know. Let's go down and check with the miners. They would have that information.
All this politics and rules don't make any sense. Why do they make life so complicated?
It's because there's so many people living in one place.
That's why I stick. That's why I stick to where we're from.
And it's
I
not
know,
just so
They
many
do to
people.
sell things.
Well, I mean, it helps. It helps secure their livelihoods. Outsiders can't come in and destabilize the environment they've crafted for themselves. So the guilds.
How many outsiders does this city get? It's in the middle of nowhere and it's super hot.
I mean, we heard about a migration of 200 Goliath that came here. That's if 200 Goliath showed up in Elderthorn, that would be a significant cultural change. But for here, it was a drop in the bucket.
Why would they move here?
I don't know.
Can I look around to see who's paying attention to this conversation?
As you're walking through the streets, certainly. Make an insight check.
I think it's just trying to understand like how this city became so big and like why there are so many rules and regulations. Just none of this makes sense to her.
A handful
she's
of
not
people are
telling
listening.
Huh?
That's all.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, a handful are listening to this conversation back and forth. Dang,
Aeolus.
just lost in the sauce.
I think it's just like completely not paying attention and just focusing on like trying to wrap her
Well,
mind around.
Siegfried just realized what he did and was like, well, maybe we'll talk about this later.
So Aeolus will pull them off to like a side street and will all right, so in regards to where we come from, we are from Paraghost, okay?
Okay.
What?
We don't want to say out loud where we hail from.
They don't even know where Hollow is.
Exactly. But if things were to happen, they then have information on us.
Not on you guys.
I'm just trying to keep everyone and everyone's families safe.
I kind of already told someone I'm from Hollow.
That's fine. If it was anyone that we've personally talked to so far, that's all right. Anyone else, just mention Paraghost. I highly doubt anyone has heard of that town.
But what if they ask follow-up questions and I can't answer them because I know nothing about Paraghost?
Just tell them that Paraghost is a small town that is on the Sword Coast.
You have
These-
no
these
concept
are-
what the Sword Coast is.
Huh?
You don't know what the Sword Coast is.
I thought that's where Aeolus is from.
You're not in the Forgotten Realms.
Oh. Well, then that alters everything. Okay.
I'm not good at lying. Can I just tell people I'm from Hollow?
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
Just we.
You guys do what you want. I would not be able to tell. Answer. I that stressed. No.
Okay.
She starts like ruffling her feathers. You can tell she's very stressed.
Let's go find somewhere to take our mind off of what we're here for. ODMC.
Sure.
Let's go.
All right. Let's pick up their next session before you guys get into any job acceptances or searching specifically with a company that might be able to give you work, so that way more people can weigh in on it as well, since we last done a little while ago. So,
Yay!
welcome to
Yeah.
Akkad.
I'm excited. Like,
This
we
place looks amazing, and it's only a third.
About yeah.
we haven't really done a city setting in any of our campaigns yet, so I'm
Yeah,
excited.
this is city. This is
Yeah.
Which is going to be fun because Tang has never experienced a city before.
No.
Which is going to be problematic because I remember the first time I experienced the city, and I had a panic attack.
No, it is understandable. It's probably very smelly as well.
Yeah.
No,
Oh, okay,
rather decent.
that's
But-
good. They have good sanitation at the very least.
The amount of prep that Akkad took was ridiculous, though, because it's such a
Yeah.
massive city and the different plots that are.
Well, I mean, there have to be so many NPCs and vendors and things we could run into. It's probably crazy
Like,
to prep all that.
Yeah.
like, topside, the map looks almost as big, if not comparable, to Baldur's Gate. And
Baldur's Gate's probably a little bit bigger, like surface level, but yeah.
Did you have an idea already and then find the map for it, or did
Yeah.
you?
I
Okay.
had an idea for what I wanted for Akkad prior to finding the map. And I was trying to use AI to generate a map or something, and just was unsuccessful in getting something even close to approximation and scouring for a decent map. So the map might adjust slightly depending as we go. But
Yeah.
Um,
And do you have a? This might be spoilery, but I assume there's a map for the Underdark, the underworld part of it as well.
I have locations for the underworld.
Okay.
The
That makes
underground sections, as the idea of things being on a level doesn't really matter underground.
Yeah.
Like uphill,
That makes sense.
downhill, it doesn't. As long as everyone who's digging and mining knows where the next nearest tunnel or wall into a cavern is, and then they don't break through it unless it's intended, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, that was one of the annoying things about Out of the Abyss. They would give you those vertical slice maps instead of just giving you individual
Oh my
horizontal
God.
rooms. It was very annoying.
Yeah.
It's very annoying.
Yeah, because if you're all underground, your neighbor, quote unquote, in the next cavern over, could be like up a spiral staircase, and then part of their building wraps around what is the road, and you don't even know that as you're traveling along the road. And the nearest cavern of their abode is 20 feet up and to an angle from where you are, from the first cavern. You know. Level doesn't matter as long as the level of each cavern makes sense with itself.
Yep. Yeah.
Um,
Well, I'm excited, and yeah,
I guess
thank you.
sub elevation, if that makes
Yeah.
area
Yeah,
below
it-
ground, number of feet below the surface. So should be fun.
Yeah.
A lot of fun. Political intrigue side.
Yeah, none of our characters are very political intrigue.
Yeah.
deep.
No bard.
No bard whatsoever.
No bard.
Siegfried-
No rogue.
Siegfried almost multiclassed into a bard a long time ago, but it's too late for that.
Oh, good.
Uh,
Alrighty. Have a good day, everybody.
Yeah, see you
Thanks
next
for
week.
joining.